Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. You guys requested this one, and it's a good one. We're going deep into Gyaana Karma Sannyasa Yoga.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating philosophy, and we're going to break it down into bite-sized pieces so you can actually use this ancient wisdom in your life today.
Yeah. You know what's so cool about this one is it's like a practical roadmap for navigating the modern world, all the craziness that comes with it, you
Yeah.
know?
And our sources for this deep dive are pretty diverse. We've got
Yeah.
the scriptural definitions, of course.
Yeah, no,
We've got to have those.
of course.
But also some real-life examples and even some metaphors to make it all really click.
Metaphors are the best.
They are. All right, so let's start with the first word, Gyaana, which means knowledge. But I have a feeling it's not just about, knowing random facts or being a trivia champ.
You're right. It's not about just book smarts. This is about a deeper knowing. It's about understanding the self, the Atman, as distinct from your body, your thoughts, all the roles you play in life.
Okay, so it's like recognizing that there's something deeper within,
Yeah.
beyond the surface level stuff.
Exactly. It's like that aha moment when you realize the unchanging essence that's always there, no matter what's going on in your life.
So how does understanding this Atman, this true self, change how we see our everyday experiences?
Well, think of it like this. You're not defined by your job title, your relationship status, even your thoughts and emotions. Those are all temporary layers. They come and go. But the Atman, that's the constant. It's the observer. And this knowledge, according to our sources, is what ultimately leads to liberation, to moksha, freedom from all those limitations.
I like that. It's like seeing the world without blurry glasses.
Exactly. And then we have karma. Most people think of it as what goes around comes around kind of thing.
Right, you get what you deserve.
Yeah. But in Gyaana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, it's a bit more nuanced. It's about acting with detachment from the results of your actions.
So it's not about being passive, just sitting back and letting things happen?
No, not at all. It's about doing your best, putting in the effort, but surrendering the outcome to something bigger.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But doesn't some level of attachment help us stay motivated? Like if we don't care about the results, why would we bother doing anything?
That's where the wisdom of Gyaana comes in. When you recognize the Atman, you understand that your worth isn't tied to external achievements.
I see.
So you can act with purpose, with dedication, but without being consumed by fear of failure or that need for constant validation.
So it's like shifting from, I need to achieve this to prove myself, to, I'm going to do this because it's in alignment with who I am.
Exactly. Our sources actually give a great example of a farmer planting seeds.
Okay.
They put in all the effort, but they can't control the weather or guarantee a harvest.
Right. They do their part and then surrender to nature.
Exactly. And that's a powerful lesson for all of us. Whether it's in our careers, relationships, creative endeavors, we can't always control the outcome, but we can control our effort and our intention.
That makes a lot of sense. And then there's sannyasa, which is often translated as renunciation.
Right. And this is where some people get a little nervous.
Yeah, I can already hear people thinking, oh no, do I have to give up all my possessions and go live in a cave?
You can keep your comfy couch.
Okay, good.
Sannyasa in this context is about inner detachment, not external renunciation.
So it's not about what you have or don't have, but your attitude towards it.
Exactly. One source uses the metaphor of a cucumber detaching from the vine. When it's ripe, it happens naturally. It's not a forceful act.
Okay, so it's about cultivating that natural detachment, the letting go that comes with understanding.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting. Gyaana Karma and Sannyasa, they're not meant to be practiced in isolation.
Right, so it's not like, okay, I've mastered Gyaana now onto karma. It's more integrated than that.
Exactly. It's like a tapestry. Each thread is important, but it's the way they're woven together that creates the beauty and strength of the whole.
I love that analogy. Okay, so we've got Gyaana providing the wisdom karma as the detached action, and sannyasa freeing us from those anxieties that can really cloud our judgment.
Exactly. It's not about becoming some unfeeling robot, It's
Well,
about bringing these principles together to live a more fulfilling life, a more meaningful life.
And you mentioned inaction earlier. I've heard that phrase before, but never really understood it.
Yeah, that's a key concept from the Bhagavad Gita, and it can be a bit paradoxical. It's not about being passive, but about acting without being attached to the outcome.
So it's more about being present and engaged in the action itself, rather than fixated on the results.
Imagine an artist creating a masterpiece. They're completely immersed in the process, not worrying about whether or not it's going to sell or be praised. That's inaction.
I'm starting to see how all of these ideas connect. So we have Jnana, the wisdom karma, the detached action, and sannyasa, the inner renunciation, all intertwined with this idea of inaction and action.
And that's where the real transformative power of Gyaana Karma Sannyasa Yoga lies.
This is already giving me a lot to think about. But how does all this ancient wisdom actually play out in our modern, chaotic lives?
That's what we'll explore next. We'll dive into practical examples of how these principles can help you navigate work relationships, uncertainty, even find inner peace in the midst of all the chaos. So let's get practical. Yeah, work-life balance, right? Huge topic for pretty much everyone these days.
Totally. It's like a constant juggling act. Work, family, friends, personal time. It's hard to find that sweet spot.
It is. And our sources actually offer some really interesting guidance on this. One key concept they highlight is seeing your work as an instrument of the divine.
Okay, that's a new way to look at it.
Yeah.
So instead of seeing it as a chore or a burden, it's more like an offering.
Exactly. And when you approach your work with that kind of mindset, without all the ego-driven anxiety about the outcome, it can really change your whole experience.
It's like shifting the focus from, I have to do this, to I get to contribute through this.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, by letting go of that attachment to the results, that karma phala tyaga we talked about earlier,
Right.
you're actually more likely to do your best work.
Really? So it's like by surrendering the outcome, you paradoxically become more effective.
Exactly. You're not bogged down by fear of failure or the need for constant validation. You're free to just be in the flow.
I like that.
Yeah.
And that shift can lead to a much deeper sense of inner peace, even in the middle of a crazy workday.
Exactly. One source uses this beautiful metaphor to describe it. They talk about the lotus leaf.
The lotus leaf. Okay. How does that relate to work-life balance?
So you know how a lotus leaf rests on the water, but it's not touched by it, It embodies the sense of serene detachment.
Right. It's like it's in the world, but not of the world.
Exactly. And the sources suggest that by cultivating that same inner stillness, we can engage fully in our work, give it our all, but without being overwhelmed by stress or anxiety.
So it's about finding that calm center within, even when everything around you is chaotic.
Exactly. And that inner peace is especially important when we're dealing with uncertainty.
Oh yeah, uncertainty.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
The world throws us curveballs all the time.
Right.
And it can be really tough to navigate those unknowns.
It can. And our sources offer some practical advice on this. They emphasize two key practices: surrendering the fruits of your actions, that karma phala tyaga again,
Okay.
and trusting in the divine plan. It's about accepting that we can't control everything.
Right.
And having faith that things will unfold as they should.
Surrendering control.
Yeah.
That's easier said than done, though.
It is. One source uses this beautiful analogy of the potter and the wheel.
Okay, I like where this is going.
The potter trusts the wheel to shape the clay, even though they can't see the final product until it's done,
So it's like letting go of the need to micromanage every aspect of our life.
Yeah.
Trusting in the process.
Exactly. And that trust can bring a lot of peace, even in the midst of uncertainty. And speaking of peace, we can't forget about inner peace.
Inner peace.
Yeah.
That almost seems like a luxury these days, with the constant demands of, work, family, everything.
It can feel that way. But our sources actually emphasize that inner peace isn't a luxury. It's a necessity.
The necessity. Okay.
They highlight the importance of practices like meditation, self-reflection, as tools for connecting to that deeper stillness within.
So it's about creating that space within ourselves where we can find refuge from all the external noise and chaos.
Precisely. One source uses this really vivid metaphor to illustrate this. They compare the mind to the vast ocean and our thoughts and emotions to the rivers that flow into it.
The river's constantly pouring into the ocean,
Okay.
but the ocean itself remains undisturbed.
Exactly. And that's what the sources suggest. We can cultivate that same steadiness of mind, remain calm and centered amidst all the influx of thoughts and emotions that we experience every day.
That's a powerful image. So it's about finding that undisturbed center within, no matter what's happening around us.
Exactly. And that centeredness is crucial when we're faced with tough decisions, especially when the outcome is uncertain.
Right. Because when we're not grounded, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions or make choices that we later regret.
Exactly. And that brings us to the topic of ethics. How do we make decisions that are in alignment with our values even when the path isn't clear?
Yeah. Ethics are important. But how does this philosophy guide us when we have to make tough choices?
Gyaana Karma Sannyasa Yoga emphasizes aligning with Dharma, which means righteous action.
Okay.
It's about making choices based on a higher good, not just personal gain.
So it's like remembering that we're part of something larger than ourselves.
Exactly. And one source uses the example of Krishna's advice to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita,
Ah, yes. The classic story of duty over fear and personal desire.
Exactly. It's about making choices that are in alignment with our higher self,
Really?
even when it's challenging. Now, as we've been exploring all these practical applications, I think it's important to emphasize that these principles, they're not separate entities.
Right. It's not like, okay, now I'm doing Gyaana, now I'm doing karma.
Yeah.
It's more integrated than that.
Exactly. It's about weaving all of these elements together into a holistic way of life. Gyaana provides the wisdom, karma guides our actions, and sannyasa frees us from all the mental clutter that can hinder our progress.
This is really starting to make sense. So it's not about becoming some detached observer, but about engaging with life from a place of wisdom, purpose, and inner peace.
Precisely. And that, I believe, is the beauty and the power of Gyaana Karma Sannyasa Yoga.
This has been so insightful. We've covered so much ground already. The three core principles, their practical applications in navigating work relationships, uncertainty, finding inner peace, making ethical decisions.
And there's still more to unpack. What's really fascinating is how this philosophy encourages us to shift our perspective on success.
That's a perfect segue to the final part of our deep dive. Let's explore what true success looks like through the lens of Gyaana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Okay, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into Gyaana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. You mentioned shifting our perspective on success. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with.
Absolutely. The world throws so many definitions of success at us. It's easy to lose sight of what truly matters.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're constantly told we need to achieve this, acquire that look a certain way to be considered successful.
It's a never-ending treadmill.
Yeah, and it's easy to fall into that trap of comparison,
Yeah.
always striving for that next external marker of achievement. But I'm sensing that Gyaana Karma Sannyasa Yoga offers a different perspective.
Definitely. Remember, the essence of sannyasa is inner detachment.
Right.
So this philosophy really encourages us to question those external markers of success and turn inward. What if true success wasn't about what we have, but who we are?
So instead of focusing on the having, we shift to the being.
Exactly. What if success was about cultivating inner peace, living in alignment with our values, contributing to the well-being of others?
That's a big shift.
It is. But the sources suggest that this kind of success rooted in the understanding of that man, that brings lasting fulfillment.
It takes the pressure off the constant striving,
It does. It frees up so much energy. When we let go of that need for external validation, we can focus on what truly matters, our relationships, our purpose, our inner growth. One source describes it as like shedding a heavy backpack you didn't even realize you were carrying.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It really captures that sense of liberation that comes with letting go of those externally imposed definitions of success.
Yeah.
It allows us to move through life with more ease, more joy, more authenticity.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about becoming indifferent to the world or giving up on our goals.
Right.
It's about engaging with life from a place of inner peace, wisdom, and purpose.
Right.
We still have ambitions and desires, but they arise from a different place, a place of alignment with our true selves.
So it's not about winning or losing the game of life, but playing it wholeheartedly with presence and intention without being attached to the outcome.
Beautifully put. And when we approach life with that kind of mindful engagement, we open ourselves up to possibilities we never could have imagined. We become more receptive to opportunities, more creative in our problem solving, more resilient in the face of challenges.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I'm already starting to see how I can apply these principles to my own life, shifting my perspective on success, cultivating more inner peace, acting with greater detachment.
That's fantastic. Remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, experiment with these ideas, see what resonates for you.
I think that's great advice for all of us. To everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Gyaana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. We hope it sparked a curiosity within you to explore these ideas further and discover how this ancient wisdom can enrich your life today.
And remember, the journey of self-discovery is a lifelong adventure. Keep exploring, keep learning, keep growing.
Until next time, keep diving deep.